This is Carl at National RV Detroit, and I'm going to walk you through this 2022 No Boundaries No Bow trailer, and the model number is NB 19.6. Okay, so this particular trailer is got a lot of modern features to it. It has a solar panel on the roof. It has a power inverter, which inverts 12 volt DC to 120 AC. So we'll go over that with you, okay? This is not a floor plan video. This is not a sales video. It's a how-to video, okay? So starting off, you can see you got regular crank down stabilizers. There's one on each corner, of course, and you get a crank for that. Now this is a sprayer port, so you do get a coiled sprayer with it to hose things down, kids and dogs and feet and what have you. You have a power awning with LED lights. Keep in mind that this is the vent for the range hood. Now, if you're running the range hood, you want to vent to the outside, right? So you got to free up this baffle like that, so it flaps freely when you're venting. Otherwise, you can shut it when you're traveling or in storage, whatever. But in order to vent to the outside, that has to be open. You have 2 axles, which makes it really stable. This is your water heater. Now, this runs on both gas and electric. The thing is, the thing to remember is you have to have water in the tank before you ever turn it on. That's important. I mean, right now there's going to be water in here because we just summarized the trailer, and it's in camping mode right now. We've purged all the antifreeze out, set your bypass valves in the correct position, and fill it with water. But if you ever get to the point where you've drained it, for example, because you're not going to be camping for months and you don't want old water just getting that egg smell in there, if you drain it, make sure you fill it up before you turn it on. That's important. Now to drain this, obviously, this takes an 1 1/16" 6-point socket right here, and you need like a 6-inch extension and something to break it with, a ratchet or a bar, whatever. But that's where you would drain it. That's also has an anode rod attached to it. This rocker switch right here, right? This rocker switch controls the electric heating element that's behind this cover here. So keep in mind that that switch is there. The rest of the switches are inside the trailer. I'll show them to you. But this switch controls the electric heating element behind this cover, and that's where you drain it from. An 1 1/16" 6-point socket. All right. Okay. So you have a griddle that comes with this. I think it's over on the other side back there. That hangs right on here, and then you get a rubber LP hose that hooks to the back of the grill, and then it plugs in right here. So keep in mind you gotta connect it before you use it. You also get a utility table that sits next to it. This is your hitch. It's Husky centerline weight distribution hitch with built-in sway control. We'll show you how that operates when you pick up your trailer. Right up front here we've got a power tongue jack, has a hitch light, and it goes up and down obviously. Now if this ever fails, this comes with a crank. You can pull this plug out of the top, put the crank on there, and you can actually crank it manually if you need to. I'll show you the crank here. Let me look for it right here. So you have this smaller crank right here for that. And then right here is the 3/4" crank you use for your stabilizers. This is your griddle. The racket sits on your utility table, your dump hose, okay? All that stuff right there. Now, this also comes with a deep cycle marine battery. This is the kill switch for it. If you ever want to shut it off, you can kill it right there. All right. Now, the most common way to get water to this is through the city water connection. So as long as you have city water on the campsite, you just screw the hose on there and turn it on, and you're all set. If you don't have plumbing on the campsite, you can pre-fill your fresh water tank here and use the onboard pump to pump water. So even if you're camping out in the middle of nowhere, if you pre-fill the tank, you're going to be able to use all the plumbing just like you've got city water. Okay. So moving on down, this is your power cord here, of course, 30 feet long, 30 amp. These are your This is where you hook your dump hose up to here, and these are your dump valves. Black one is toilet water and waste. The gray one is sink and shower water. This is a black tank flush here. So after you dump your black tank, if you leave that valve open, you can put the hose at the dump station right on here, turn it on, it'll spray out the inside of your black tank, clean out the sensors really well. It's as long as there's a hose at the dump station that is usable, it hasn't been run over or anything like that, I highly recommend doing it every chance you get, okay? You have a ladder, which is great because the manufacturer states you should inspect your roof every 90 days. You're looking for any of the sealant you see up there. You're looking for cracking or separation where water could get in. You're looking at the roof attachments and the roofing material to make sure none of it was damaged by low branches or road debris or anything like that. Odds are you won't have to do anything for a long time, but that's why you're inspecting it, just to make sure. So make sure you inspect it regularly, and if you see an issue, take care of it right away. Of course, this is your backup camera here. We'll talk to you more about that when you pick up. Okay? Alrighty, so let's go inside here. Okay, so this is your power awning right here. You see it goes out, comes in. Never leave it out unattended. This is the switch for your slide room right here. And these are lights here, okay? Alright. This remote is for your TV, but your TV has got an FM radio. It's got Bluetooth, so you can hook up wirelessly with your phone or your tablets, whatever. 2 speaker zones. One is inside the trailer, 2 is outside the trailer, so it does a lot more than just a regular TV. You can see how that LED is glowing red. That should always be glowing like that. That's the digital signal booster for the antenna. You can shut it off. There's a little black button there, but you want to leave it on or you will not get a good picture. Okay, I showed you the vent with the baffle in it outside. Well, this is the vent itself. So if you're going to run it like so, you always want to open that baffle so it can flap freely and you can vent to the outside. Okay? When it comes to your range top, you just light it. You turn it on and light it. It's that simple. Of course, down here is your convection microwave, which works like all convection microwaves. This is your vacuum here. You can sweep dirt right in front of that and flip it up and it'll turn on. This does not come with a hose kit. But it does come with the floor vacuum thing there. Okay? I don't know what to... I call it something better if I can think of what to call it, but you just sweep right up there, turn it on, and it sucks the dirt right in. Okay, so this is your sprayer that we talked about. This is the rest of your backup camera. This is your monitor that you keep in your tow vehicle with you. We'll show you how to work that. This is a Bluetooth speaker that comes with it, and this is your Bluetooth brake controller that comes with it. Okay. All right. Keys are hanging right here. All righty. So the table you can move around and collapse. We'll talk to you about that. Right now this is a Murphy bed and it's in the up position right now. It's a great thing because you can reclaim your living area during the day. Flip it down and it takes up a 30-year trailer. But when you flip it back up, you got a nice couch to lay on, or excuse me, to sit on, which is great because on days or like a rainy weekend or whatever, gives you a lot of good seating space that's comfortable. So underneath this here is a power inverter, right? And this is the switch for the power inverter right here. I'll turn it on. You might be able to hear it turn on there. What an inverter does is it takes 12-volt DC from your battery and it inverts it to 120 AC so you can run an appliance, a small appliance off of it. So right now we're plugged in, but if we were not plugged into AC power, I would be able to plug in a coffee pot, let's say right there, and it will it'll take the 12 volts and it'll invert it to 110 AC, 120 AC, whichever you prefer. So keep that in mind. Now you shut it off. If you're not inverting something, you don't just leave it going because there's no reason to. So you want to shut that off when you're not inverting. Now this also has a power converter, which does just the opposite. it converts AC to DC power. This other one is going from DC to AC, right? So this power converter takes AC power when you're plugged in. You see regular circuit breakers like you'd see at home here, and they're all labeled. And then that's 120 AC. Then it's converted to 12 volt DC. On this side, you got regular 12 volt fuses here. So keep that in mind. This is where the 12 volt comes from. So this is also a battery charger, or battery tender, better yet. So it senses how much energy your battery needs up front, and it will send, if it's topped off, it'll just trickle a couple amps up there to maintain it. If it's low, it'll send 10 amps or whatever it needs to keep it charged. Now when you're pulling it down the road, the alternator on your tow vehicle will be charging the battery, okay? Alrighty, so keep that in mind. This is the converter, which goes from AC to DC, and over there was the inverter, which goes from DC to AC, okay? Alright. This is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector here. It should always be green like it is. If it goes off, it's detected carbon monoxide or LP gas, and so you take everybody outside, leave the door open, shut the gas off at the front, figure out what's going on. If it beeps very slowly, the same tone but very slowly, it's telling you your battery's low. I'll let you hear what it sounds like. LP is good, carbon monoxide coming up, and of course your low battery alert. And then it goes back to green. If it's not green, get it serviced. It's very important. Okay, alrighty. Okay, so your refrigerator is a 12 volt DC refrigerator, so it runs on DC power. It's very simple, on and off. You can set your temperature up and down, and then it has a power saving mode. It's all very simple. This is your thermostat here. You just light it up by hitting the mode button once, then you can go through it to the fan. The fan is just the air conditioner running without the compressor. Cool, of course, is the air conditioning. See how I don't know if you can read that, but it says auto now for fan speed. If you give you an option, always choose auto for the fan speed. And of course, the last one was heat, which is your propane heaters, or your propane furnace, I should say, which is right there. So you can run the fan, which is the air conditioner without the compressor. You can run it full air conditioning and the furnace. Okay. So this has a few modern features to it here. This one here is a neat feature. This is the water of the shower miser, right? So basically, you're normally when you're waiting for water to heat up in the shower, you just stand there and it runs down the drain till it gets warm, right? Well, this is a circulating pump, so it recirculates the water around in a loop from the freshwater tank through the water pump to here and back. It goes around in a loop, around and around and around again when you're in this position, right? So as it's doing that, the water's heating up. So as it heats up, this will change color to like a beigeish color. And you'll say, that'll tell you that it's hot. Then you're going to flip to regular mode and it's going to come out the shower as normal. The idea is during a drought period in drought areas, you don't waste water, for one thing, and you're not wasting storage in your black tank, or excuse me, your gray tank down there, because you're not just dumping perfectly good water in the tank. So you save storage space, plus most importantly you're saving water, and when you're camping somewhere where there's drought issues. So I want to encourage you, everything I tell you about, there's a packet in here with literature, but you can also go to the manufacturer's website. Like this one is AquaView, and it's the shower miser, and they'll have videos you can look at, really good slick ones too. So you can always, you can educate yourself as much as you want to with this just by doing that, okay? Alright, that's the shower miser, water recirculator. So your sink works like any other sink. The toilet is an RV toilet, so you can see the flush pedals right up front here. The only thing to know about this, if you don't know this, is the black tank is directly below, right? That's the black tank down there. So when you get to the campground, you hook up your power and your water, you come inside. The black tank's empty at this point. You can't use the black tank when it's empty. The smell will be terrible, and it can get clogged up. So what you do is you put a dose of chemical in the bowl, then you step on the pedal and hold it down until about a gallon of water flows into the tank, washing the chemical into the black tank. And some people use more than a gallon of water, it's up to you. But the main thing is you have to have water and chemical in there before you start using it. Otherwise, like I said, the smell will be terrible, it can get clogged up. So always start off with water and chemical. That's very important. Let's say you were going to stay another week, but you had to dump your black tank. So you dump your black tank, you're staying at the same campground. You come in here after you dump the black tank, you put a dose of chemical and at least a gallon of water in the tank, and then you're all set. Okay? All right. So you have heated holding tanks here. Your black, your gray, and your freshwater tanks. So you can extend your camping season. It has like heating pads on it, and also heating pads by the valve also. So you have that. Your water heater on gas is right here. There's the fault thing there, but that's for gas. Remember I showed you in the lower left-hand corner, you can operate the electric heating element too. Never run it without water in it. Okay, so you have electricity and you have gas. Electricity will keep it nice and warm, but if you got like 2 or 3 people who are going to shower, that's only a 6-gallon tank. So if you put the water heater on gas and light it on gas, it's not going to be it's not on demand, but it's kind of close. You know, it's not going to keep up the temperature as long as you want, but it'll give you much quicker recovery and more hot water to work with. So you could run them both together at that point. Although the most common way to run it is on electricity. So your water pump is right here. Remember I told you you can pump fresh water out of the freshwater tank if you don't have a plumbing on the campsite. This is also used to winterize the trailer, so keep that in mind. And then you have your levels, your battery's charged. Fresh water has a third in it. Black is empty and gray is empty. You see it graduates up in 1/3 increments as it goes up there. Once you get past 2/3, you're going to have to start thinking about dumping the black and gray tank. Okay? And now this is your solar controller. The battery's already been set. This bottom button here says battery type. It's wet. So it's a wet battery. So that's already been set. So you have to set that. If you were to change it to a gel battery, you would change this to AGM gel because you don't. It'll do a different calculation. So if you had lithium, you would choose lithium. But this is wet. Okay. So right now it's telling we got 13.1 volts at the battery, which is perfect. You punch it once, we're gaining 1.5 amps from the sun, and it's being stored in the battery. So you can see that we're gaining 1.5. Different if it's a sunny day, that of course increases the amperage, and the position of the sun in the sky also does too. So keep that in mind. That'll change throughout the day. Even if it's a sunny day from dawn till dusk, it'll change as the sun or the earth moves around the sun or spins. So keep that in mind. It won't always be static. Okay, and then if you push it again, 16.3 amp hours, which is excellent, and then back to 13.1 volts. So that's your solar controller. Now I want to mention that you can add a second battery to this trailer. If you do that, you have more inversion, 12 volts for inversion, so you can run the inverter longer, for example. Plus you have more storage for solar power. So if you were to add a second battery, you'd wire it together so it still puts out 12 volts. It just doubles the storage capacity. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's something I've learned with these over time. So, okay, one last thing. The fan. This is a 4-speed fan. It has a vent cover over it, so you can leave it open during raining and that sort of thing. I'm going to close it right now just so we don't forget. Always run the fan with the shower to pull the humidity out. These trailers are built super tight, so you don't want to create a climate or conditions where you could get mold or mildew. Also, if you got a bunch of people over and it's the time of year where you start to get condensation from your breath, for example, always run this on low, and it'll pull the condensation right out of the trailer. You'll never have an issue with it. So anytime you see condensation or something like that, just turn that fan on low, and it'll take care of it for you. Okay. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers it. We'll go over it with you when you pick up also. So we've got inversion, which goes from 12 volt DC to 120 AC, and the other one here is a converter, which does just the opposite. Most trailers have this, but only newer ones have an inverter. Okay? Okay, well, thank you very much for buying your trailer here at National RV Detroit. Please remember what I said about inspecting the roof every 90 days. Keep after your roof. It's a good thing. Odds are you'll go up there, 20 times and you won't have to do anything, but you're just making sure that it's good and tight. You're protecting your investment. So make sure you do that. And right now this is in camping mode. The water system's in camping mode. That means all the antifreeze has been flushed out, and the bypass valves on the water heater are set for camping, and there's water in the water heater tank. Okay, thank you.